Hello, greetings and salutations. Welcome back to the BFC, where we go into the trenches of the trading world. I hope you guys are all having a great day. This is where we do DD from the source. Today, we have a whole roundtable plan. But first, hey, guys, if you are on X or Facebook, please be sure to like and repost this content. We want to get as many eyes on the OTC as we move towards the third quarter, a.k.a. the summer months. And I'm so glad we are now approaching summer and getting into it, because it's been a long winter and a long spring. So, and I have a feeling many stocks will be heating up. So make sure you are liking and reposting. Okay, let's not waste any more time. Let's bring in the CEO of NexTel Medical, OTCID, ticker MAJI, Matt Dwyer, as well as Dr. Marvin Hausman, who's a returning guest, Dr. Kimi Sugaya, and Casey Barksdale. Let's bring him in. Gentlemen, welcome to the BFC. How are we doing?
Good, Eric. You?
Excellent, excellent. Well, Matt, you are the CEO of MAJI, and so why don't you introduce your team to us and have them go around and tell a little bit about themselves.
All right. So, we have Dr. Marvin Hausman, who's our Chief Science Officer. Chairman of our advisory board for this company. So, Marvin, why don't you tell everybody about yourself?
Sure. I'm a medical doctor from NYU School of Medicine. I was a general surgeon. I was drafted into Vietnam, and then I went to NIH. Made several discoveries at NIH, and ended up being contracted by Bristol Myers International, formed a company called Medco Research. We then went on the New York Stock Exchange, and we're currently a division of Pfizer. I'm a transplant surgeon from UCLA and Cedars-Sinai, and my specialty was newborn babies with kidney defects. I'm specialized now in pharmaceutical research, and it's a pleasure to be part of the organization that Matt Dwyer has put together.
Thank you, Marvin. Next, we have Dr. Kimi Sugaya, who would be the first time anybody's heard from him.
All right. Hi, I'm Kimi Sugaya. I'm a professor of the medicine at the University of Central Florida. Oh, muted?
No, we can hear you, Kimi.
We can hear him.
Yeah. All right. All right. So then I'm also the head of the neuroscience. I've been in the neuroscience area of the research more than 45 years now. And then I originate from Japan. And then I was a neurosurgeon in Japan, but I switched to the research to help more people than a surgeon can help. So today I'm so much excited. And then actually I'm the back of this all the technology we're going to introduce today.
That is true. And last but not least, we have Mr. Casey Barksdale from the two companies that we just signed to acquire, and Jumpstart. The floor is yours.
Yeah, no, my name is Casey Barksdale, and thanks for having us on the show. And, you know, really excited about the group and the team that we've put together that I think is going to take, you know, medicine and testing and patient outcome into, you know, the next 25 years, which is special to me. I founded JumpstartRx, also founded NueVistraMed. Originally came from a sports background, so in building the companies used a lot that I learned from coaching to build the companies the same way. So, you know, once again, I echo excited to be part of the team Matt's built with Dr. Kimi and Dr. Marvin, just to see what we can do to help, you know, patients across the country. So,
excellent. Thank you guys for those introductions. And I want to start with Casey, actually. Could you expand on the two recent acquisitions and how they will benefit NexTel Medical?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
so,
Eric, I don't hear Casey and Kimi. I hear you, Matt, and myself.
It's definitely a setting issue. There's nothing I could do on my end. It's probably a setting issue on their end or your end.
I hear you perfectly. I hear Matt. I hear myself. I don't hear Casey, and I don't hear Kimi.
I can't hear.
I'm looking at my settings. It looks okay.
Okay. Dr. Sugaya, can you hear Casey?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So Yeah, that's on your end. It's a setting on your end. I'm not sure.
Marvin,
I can.
Marvin, why don't you log out and log back in? Can you do that?
That's what I'll do. I'll log out
Yeah.
and come back in.
And
Well,
we do have
please
somebody that is
go ahead.
watching. Yeah, we have somebody that's watching. We hear everyone in the group. So that's the most important thing, is that they could hear us.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the
So,
most important.
but go ahead, Casey. Just go. I want to keep things going here. So,
Absolutely. So NueVistraMed was a company that was started a couple years ago, 2.5 years ago, that was set up. It's under the brand Island 40 Group, but it was set up to essentially become a one-stop shop or be able to touch everything inside the clinic space. So as it sets today, clinics don't necessarily have a lot of buying power, whether it comes to medical supplies, medicines, testing, labs, anything that goes on in a lot of these clinics, because they're one location or two locations. So when we built NueVistraMed, we wanted to be able to help expand them to give them buying power and essentially a one-stop shop for anything they may need to help their patient or to help their business. That was the reason NueVistraMed was set up. As far as JumpstartRx, it was actually built to help employer groups and to also help other groups that came to us that needed help with, certain medications or a telemedicine platform, whatever they need to enhance their bottom line as an employer group, also set up for friends and family to help offer access to drugs, testing, and other things.
And my next question was asking on behalf of shareholders who aren't healthcare professionals, which is all of us, most of us, I should say. Now, explain why JumpstartRx and NueVistraMed are more than just telehealth companies. I know you touched a little bit on it there.
Absolutely. So when you look at NueVistraMed and Jumpstart, both offer end-to-end customer solutions. But as it relates to NueVistraMed, it's way more than a telehealth company. If you want to be a marketing company, let's say you want to advertise online or you want to launch a new product, you come to us. We already have everything in a box ready to deliver to you to be able to roll out your marketing team to grow business and to reach the database you're trying to get. As from if it was just a telemed, then we would only offer doctor services or medical services right there on the spot. We wouldn't offer the end-to-end solution, which is what we offer currently.
Right on. Well, what, if anything, can you tell us about the third acquisition you guys are working on? And I'm posing this to Matt and Casey.
We're working on the paperwork on it, but Casey, you can give like a brief overview of what it does, because it's really different than the other two.
Absolutely. So if you look right now at employer groups, if you look at let's look at the college landscape of basketball, right, or football with NIL. When you look at sponsorships, so what we did was we saw a need in the space, and the name of this company is Mascot Alliance, but we saw a need in the space to be able to offer a true return on investment to people who sponsor and give money to projects. An example of that is if we go into your business and we can change your business's bottom line through health services or through other health products, then we work with you to then give some of that savings to your college or to your charity or to your nonprofit or whatever. So we're truly creating a win-win across the board. We also are able to go in with that same company, because it is a health services company in a lot of ways. We're able to go into hospitals and to other groups and give them 5 key areas of savings that we can save them with a turnkey solution. But the whole key to this, Eric, and I want to mention this, is we don't displace any of their current partners, because I think you would agree the hardest thing is to go in and get someone to change a vendor or change a partnership that's their cousin or their husband or their uncle. So in our case, we don't displace any of them. We want to be everybody's friend while providing better solutions.
That's awesome. Very good. And Dr. Hausman, I hope you could hear everybody at this point.
Oh, yeah. No, everything's perfect. I signed back in. It's perfect. All
right. Excellent. And I want to talk a little bit about revenue, because, as an investor, as a trader, revenue to me is important. A lot of times you invest in these companies and, they promise revenue. They promise, and they never achieve that. And investors, they've heard many OTC companies talk about future revenue. NexTel now claims an immediate $135,000 a month baseline. All right. What is the timeline for that revenue to begin appearing in the actual financial statements?
All right. Well, why don't we do this because we have the man right here. Casey, what are your monthly numbers with NueVista and Jumpstart now? 135?
Yeah, we're right around 135 to 140 per month right now.
Right. He's got some things that we're not going to discuss now that are going to come on that should roll those numbers up and continue to make them grow on a month-over-month basis. You've heard us talk a lot about the $4 script program. They're waiting for a final check. What do you figure, 60, 90 days, maybe more?
Yeah, I'm hoping, I would say, because you're always waiting on inspections and stuff like that. Naturally, it's out of our control. We're hoping between 60 and 180 days, we will be, or 120 days, I'm sorry, we'll be up and running with no problem.
All right. So then his estimate on that is approximately 2,000 scripts a day at $4 a script. Everybody can do the math, approximately 300 days a year. So when's it going to show up on MAJI fins? So we're attempting to close by August 1st. So let's just say we close by August 31st. So we'll have a month of revenue, which is September post for the third quarter, and then a full fourth quarter rev will show on the books. So
And you,
go
ahead.
I'm sorry. The one thing I will say, I think the interesting part to this, and me and Matt have talked a lot about this when we started talking about this partnership early on and what it could look like, is, everyone uses the term biotech, biopharma company, however you want to use that. But the thing that normally happens, and I heard Matt touch on this the other day, is a lot of times biopharma or biotech companies are designed for the home run. They're going to burn through capital till they get to the home run for their shareholders. We look at ourselves as a very unique cutting edge biotech company, and we have singles, we have doubles, we have triples, and then you're not burning cash. You're generating cash, and then hoping that the home runs that Dr. Kimi and Dr. Marvin have create what you're looking for as a shareholder. So you get the best of all worlds.
You know what? And it reminds me of going to a game, because we were talking about baseball backstage before the show, watching a team full of power hitters and them not connecting for the whole game, which was pretty boring. But to have that intermittent revenue and have those singles and doubles like you're talking about, I think that's absolutely crucial. And I do want to follow up. You mentioned the baseline. And so where is the high end of that you think, is the sky the limit really?
I think it goes to what we're building from, like I mentioned earlier, about creating and being able to create the whole ecosystem when you walk into a clinic or when you walk into a practice, right? So when I look in and walk in, how can we generate revenue and give them buying power on every single thing they touch within that clinic? So when we look at building businesses, especially in the pharmaceutical and health space, I always say, number one, our focus is always patient outcome, right? I think we've all cited that in healthcare today. I think patient outcome. Number two is how can we create a distribution channel that is second to none, meaning where you gain the trust of your distribution network, that they know that anything you bring them has already been A, vetted, and B, it's going to generate the most bottom line revenue for them while helping their patients, right? And then I think the last thing goes back to what I just said. When I look at something coming from a basketball and sports world, is how can I touch everything inside of there to where we're able to help them, but also help us generate revenue.
And just follow up on that, Eric. Casey, I think we started talking when, like last November, I think it was.
Yes, sir.
About that, October, November of last year.
Yes, sir.
So we've had multiple conversations. We've looked at different ways, things that we're going to expand on here shortly. We'll work with his distribution network. So it wasn't so much for Casey, I wanted to sell my business and walk away, because he's staying. But how can we add to what he's doing, and how can our products help his clients?
Got it. Excellent. And my next question, actually, this is a question I've been wanting to ask. This is the NANOG DNA test. All right. The screening test may be the most potential disruptive thing that NexTel has announced. Where exactly are we today between patent approval and actual commercial sales?
All right. I'm going to let Dr. Sugaya handle all the science on this. I'll handle the patent and the commercial. The patent was granted. I think, in 2021. So it's already patented, fully patented and protected.
Could you post, just real quick, could you post that online on X, so I could share that?
Yeah, I'll get you the patent number. That's fine.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
As far as commercial sales go, what I touched on the other day is, and Dr. Sugaya will expand on it, is we need to file an IRB. We need to run a test against people who have cancer, test them against people who don't have cancer, and he'll explain how all that works. And if all that comes out at the end and he says we're, like his initial test was, then we're ready to go to commercialization. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Sugaya, who can explain the science and how it all works.
All right. Yeah, so this technology is very exciting because they're non-invasive. You don't have to even stick the needle to your skin. We don't need the blood, right? So then we just use the saliva, which is you just spit on it. And then we're going to analyze the exosome. Exosome is a small particle released by your body cells. And then particularly, we're going to look into those exosome. That's the size of the nanoparticle. That means the viral particle. So then that's going to pass through whole your body. And then that gets into your saliva. That's why we can detect those. And then we can detect the one released by the cancer cells anywhere in your body. And then once we detect that, you have a cancer. I hope not, but you have a cancer. After that, we can we can analyze the exosome. Further, we can tell where you have the cancer. And then these things could happen very sensitive way. Most of the cancer, especially the brain cancer, you have to wait till the cancer become like 1 centimeter size or something. But this method can detect those things in few cells. So then if your body start making the cancer, we can detect those, and then we can tell where it is. So that's the things we can do without any pain. So that's the big stuff. And
It's a game changer. Keep going,
yeah,
keep going.
yeah. And then at this point, we believe this is the very strong patent, but to get the FDA approval, we need to do the clinical trial. So then we have to prove this one is true with the human, the patient. So that's the Matt was talking about. And then I'm the chair of the ILB as well. So then we know how to do this process and so on and so on. So then actually already we have 2 drivers already talked about. But I'm gonna be the like engine for this company. And then matter of fact, already I invented more than 70 patents in this past 20 years. So then I have lots of technologies to bring into the market. And then, that's going to help this company too.
Wow,
No.
that's impressive, 70 patents in
So
20 years.
Kimmy, when we release the screening test, we'll be able to detect, but we can't actually say they have cancer. We could tell them that basically you've got something you need to go see your doctor for.
Okay. Yeah, before we get the FDA approval, we cannot say this is the diagnosis or anything. Right? That's the rule. So then first, we want to do the screening lab test. In the lab test, we can say that, oh, you may have cancer. And then that's depending on the ILB setup. Usually the ILB doesn't tell the individual you have a cancer or anything, because after we went through all the research, human subject research, then we can tell, and then we can get approval from the FDA to say, oh, you can tell this is the diagnosis, and then you can tell you have the cancer or not. So
I mean, just to follow up, I just gotta say, so you do the test. I mean, is there a lot of intermittent time wasted? Because I know like sometimes they go for the screening and then they gotta wait. Then some people have to have surgery. I mean, like, how much time is this gonna save, and how many lives do you think? This sounds like crazy.
Okay, you can spit,
especially with just a saliva test. You know what I'm saying?
You can spit in a tube at home, and then just mail it. and then we're going to do everything in the lab without any delay. So then hopefully, once this one become diagnosis, you can get the results next day.
Wow. And will there be like some kind of a portal you guys are going to work on that it'll be uploaded to a portal or something like that?
Yeah, exactly. It'll
Okay.
be a patient portal. Once you get the kit, you'll sign up. The kit will have a number and some code you'll deal with, and you'll plug in all your information. You'll mail in the kit, then you'll be able to track it along and get your results.
Yeah, we have a question. When can regular people actually buy and use the NANOG cancer test? So what is the timeline for it actually becoming available?
Our timeline is, if we get the IRB filed here shortly, which we're planning, to get the 100 patients to do the sample test will be fairly quickly. It'll take us 1 to 2 weeks maybe to run that many tests, which probably be less. Kimi has to analyze the results, and then from there, if he says, yes, we're green lit, we plan to launch. So we plan to have this out. It'll definitely be out for October. We're going to shoot for September, but it'll definitely be out for October.
That's excellent. Thanks for the question. Absolutely. I want to pivot a little bit and talk about the distribution network. All right. At Casey's distribution network. So one of the biggest things that caught investors' attention was the claim of access to more than 1,500 online clinics and 350 physical medical facilities. How active is that network today?
Very active. We touch over 300,000 patients within our whole network.
Wow. Is that
Now,
annually?
No, sir. That was last month.
All right.
No, let me say, when you say touch,
whether it been a telemedicine visit through our network, that we don't own the network, we're just a vendor partner, right? Whether it been a telemedicine network partner, whether it been one of our clinics, whatever, we're over 300,000 that we can know we've touched based upon purchases or what have you. Like I said, we're the vendor that provides certain things for those networks, if you will, but that's growing every day from, Dr. Kimi's, cancer tests to Dr. Marvin to everything. I think you would agree with this. The hardest time two brilliant guys like Dr. Kimi and Dr. Marvin have is they're brilliant. They create unbelievable products, life-changing opportunities, but you don't have a network to get it to the masses. And our goal is to be able to provide that.
Yeah, that's remarkable. Those are some big numbers, and you see it continues to grow. Thank you for clarifying that.
I'm going to add something here, Eric.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Case, you shared a little something with me this morning. It was a very large invoice that was provided for prescriptions.
Yeah, we just recently invoiced one of our providers, if you will. We invoiced one of our providers an invoice of right around $300,000, if you will, it was a little over, for 3 weeks. So just to give you an idea of what the invoicing looks like and what the numbers, because I think that's what's important to shareholders. So
somebody just did a little math.
So not everything's $4 a script. It's all different. So somebody's math there, although I like it. We're not talking about that particular the testosterone. But what we are touching on there with that is the power of the base, and when product is introduced to it. Like when you first started with them and you turned it on, how quickly did it take from when you turned it on to you be able to start funneling active scripts over or patients?
I mean, it was a long grind to get where we're at now. I mean, I started by driving around in a Toyota Camry to random clinics and knocking on their door and trying to have something crafty to say when I walked in, because I was learning healthcare at the time, right? So in fairness, within 30 days, we started seeing revenue, and then we've grown it to now. And then we've started going back to what I said earlier about being able to provide an end-to-end solution for people is what they're looking for. Because at the end of the day, the companies that we work with that are telemed platforms that we provide end-to-end solutions, or even our clinics, They want to be able to call one person and know their problem's going to be fixed, or one company. And it sure does help them when everything inside of their clinic comes from one distributor. It changes the world. Now, because we're able to produce, and I think everyone would agree, there are a lot of people, brokers, that walk into places and promise things that never can deliver anything. They just promise them, right? The success and the reason we've been able to get contract after contract, and people allow us, like the talk of testosterone of 2,000, vials a day, depending on the size of the vial, is because they know we're going to move that product through one of our distribution partners, right? So therefore, they're willing to give us that allocation to be able to do that.
I want to touch on one more thing, Eric. So when we launched the screening test and we show them the science behind it, and it proves out to be everything Dr. Sugaya says, and they like it. What do they like to do with products that they tend to like when your main clients? Okay.
Oh, you're talking to me?
Exclusivity. So our clients will pay for exclusivity for very niche products, because once again, of the reach that they have, they don't want to compete with anybody else, at least for 3 months or 6 months, right? But what that allows us to do is be able to capture some revenue up front, but then it also allows us to hold them to numbers to keep that exclusivity.
Right.
That's crucial. That's absolutely crucial.
I think
that's why we had to bring them in. We had to get the deal done.
And I knew we wouldn't get through one podcast this month where the word exclusivity wasn't mentioned, which I could actually say now without stuttering on it, guys, just so you know. I always joke because I always say that's the one word that always trips me up. But there you had it. No, excellent answer, and that's pivotal. I want to talk about Maxasome and the commercialization going on there. So Marvin, finally, you could stop being a fly on the wall and give us something. But Maxasome has been discussed as a major future product line. What makes it different from the hundreds of wellness products already flooding the market?
Well, let's go back to what an exosome is, or a maxasome is our proprietary name for an exosome. You have to look at exosomes as the communication system in the body. Talk about a baseball game, throwing the ball from first base to second base. Well, that's what these cars do. Exosomes are like little cars moving around the body. They communicate between cells. And that's beautiful what Kimi's working on. I want to divert just for a second. Cancer cells are communicating with the saliva. How do they communicate? They communicate through these little cars called exosomes. It's the communication. When you have arthritis, how does the arthritis communicate with your immune system? Through exosomes. And so what we're doing with Maxasomes is isolating from food substances like mushrooms. And you know how important lion's mane is. It's one of the top selling things on the online internet, or yellow oyster. So I've established a relationship for the company with Hershey Medical Center and Penn State University, which is the top food science university in the United States, to analyze exosomes from mushrooms. So when you eat food, there's so many other products in the food. What do these small cars communicating from the food carry? And so we now are the first company to analyze, and we're looking at things like beta-glucans, polyphenols. I don't want to bore your audience, but we're going to create a pamphlet, a white paper to explain all this. When you take on Maxasome, what are you getting? And remember, this is like targeted delivery. This is like Waymo, like this is the Google thing, the car traveling around your city, delivering food, Uber. So we're developing an Uber system using exosomes.
Do you think there's code there with these little cars? And thank you for explaining it like that. And here I am, explain it to me like I'm a first grader. Do you think there's code there, or not habits, but data there, I guess, that could help reverse cancer or arthritis or stuff, and not even reverse it, but help address it better? Is that where this is going? Because almost like reverse engineering the telegram. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just an example. Kimi was talking about his saliva test, which isolates NANOG. We have already proven this, and Kimi has in an animal model, where he has taken exosomes and genetically modified them. And then he was able to show that these exosomes, genetically modified, increase the efficacy of temozolomide, Merck's drug for cancer. So we've already shown that. I've taken that data, and through the company, we've applied to the FDA. We already have orphan drug designation for that technology. And then we applied to the European Union, and just 2 weeks ago, we got approval in the European Union for that technology. So this is cutting edge. We're now opening a whole new door. Then that can work beautifully and integrate with cases, because patients want advocates. They want people to explain to them how they could live longer, how they could. So when you try to call a doctor, he doesn't answer the phone. And so we hope to bridge that gap. And
So,
maybe this exosome is the communication opening for Casey's patients.
So Marvin's going to concentrate on products specifically within the wellness industry, which will help with Casey's distribution line. But one thing Kimi's working on for us for the Maxasome is through a discussion he and Marvin had the other day, where we have to now do an IRB study because, and I'll allow Kimi to explain it better, but we want to give product and then vary the dose and the amount of exosomes, and I'll let Kimi explain it because she's the doctor.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So then the addition to the Marvin told, exosome can deliver the things even to the brain. So then everybody in this world, they try to, even the big pharma, they try to deliver their drug to the brain. That's very difficult because we have a barrier between the brain and then the other part of the body. So then, but this exosome can deliver those things. That's a big, advantage. So then we talk about the testosterone, okay? To deliver the testosterone to the brain, that's kind of things we can do. And then why that important? Libido, the energy, emotion, those things are happening in the brain. So then that's the totally separate out, distinguish ourselves from other product. And then for this, Matt talking about the clinical study, yeah, we want to have scientific proof. So then that's the reason that we want to change the dose between the people, and then ask the people how much got affected or something. And then to do that, again, we're going to go through the strict ILB regulation, and then we want to show the proof of this product. So that's what we want to do.
Excellent. Matt, did you want to add anything? No?
Yeah, I can't follow that.
I know. I want to talk about one of the most recent PRs, the Penn State validation. All right. So Dr. Hausman, the Penn State study sounds groundbreaking, but investors have seen many early stage biotech announcements before. We were talking a little bit about this as well. But why is this particular study so important?
Well, because everything in life has a genetic background. Mushrooms date back, they're prehistoric. They go way back in life. They're part of the basic food source of life. So if we identify yellow oyster, what is the genetic background of yellow oyster? What is the genetic background of lion's mane? And we show that this particular genetic entity produces these powerful exosomes, which we now will have. We're ready to launch. For example, in 1 cc of fluid, or say 10 cc's, we have about 180 billion exosomes from mushrooms. This is a definite food source, a supplement that humans can use. And it's a great marketing program with Casey's. To integrate it into Casey's program, my God, it's like a dream come true.
Mm-hmm. I want to add
And
one more
may I
thing.
just add, in answer to
Right,
your
okay.
question, Eric, we're going to file patents on all this to protect the technology. And I've spoken to Matt about that. And so this is going to be something, and I've spoken to Dr. Sugaya about this also.
Yeah.
to
When
bring
I
the
saw
heads
this
up.
study, I couldn't believe it. So that's a very amazing. You know, the point amazing is that original mushroom itself, you know, when we eat it, we get some effect. Okay. But what we found here in this study was the exosome capture those goodies more than the high concentration than the original food. That's the amazing. I didn't expect that. So then that's the things, and also by those things got into the exosome, easy to get into the body, and then those things are protected by our body. For example, like easy thing is the stomach acid gonna destroy everything, but if we put in the exosome, it's gonna be preserved. So then that's another good things. Even these things we could, put into the nose or under the tongue. That's where the exosome even penetrate into your body. So then that makes those two things, very significant, different from any other product.
So-
Eric, we're ready to launch. Based on what Kimi is just saying, we have our freezers full with these exosomes. And so we're just trying to set up the marketing program. And I want to work closely with Casey to set up an integrated marketing plan with his organization.
which we'll have a big meeting on that in July that we're already scheduling. But going back to the research, Eric, so what Kimi and Marvin are finding from that are different applications than the ones we're currently working on. So Marvin has always said that the exosomes themselves, like for myself or you, if you took your hat off, we rubbed it on our head, it would help our hair grow. But Marvin's also said if you inject it in, then it will really work. So we're doing our sterility test, as you know, that I talked about the other day, and we're finishing that. When we have that completely done, Marvin's going to run some other tests in the lab. He's going to send me a bunch of vials, and I have a doctor who's actually going to inject it in me we'll see if it grows hair, which hopefully it will. But one of the other things is a lot of people right now, they're using peptides for regenerative growth for muscle issues, tears. So I have tears in my shoulders that I currently use the Wolverine stack peptide in, but I want to use our exosomes in there because I think they're actually a lot stronger. And if you go to a sports clinic now where they are doing exosome injections, these are the mammalian ones, the human ones. I went to a place and for a package of 5 injections, it was $15,000. So I looked at the guy and I said, well, I'll just bring my own. Just give me the injections, you know? So these are things that are coming, that are already being worked on, that we haven't discussed, but there's a lot of products outside of like 1, 2, or 3 that we're going to come out. And a lot of them will go through Casey sales shows.
It's remarkable. You got the innovation of groundbreaking science, and then taking that and tapping into Casey's market. It's like, it's remarkable.
And I just want to finish one thing with Penn State. One thing Marvin and I have been working on is Marvin's a big fan of keloids. He'll sit here and talk to you for an hour about a keloid. A keloid is a growth on the body. So I have a friend in Miami who's probably, if not the top, one of the top 3 laser experts in the world. So we've been talking back and forth, and she's ready to work with us and partner with us on a study for how our exosomes can help heal the skin after laser therapy and help with the removal of keloids. So Marvin's been waiting for this data to come back from Penn State for us to move that forward. But
this is fantastic. We just got the data, and Dr. Bitzer, who is the head of the department at Hershey, is now analyzing the exosomes for additional biologic active molecules like vitamin D, heavy metals, selenium, zinc, all the things that your body needs. And we just got data, which Dr. Sugaya mentioned, that beta glucans may be higher in the exosome than in the parent food where the exosomes came from. Now think about what the significance of that is. We know that beta glucans are very important in wound healing. And if a dermatologist excises using an excimer laser, a keloid, this is a whole new arena to take this exosome serum and put it on the wound and activate healing.
Yeah.
And we're sitting on these compounds. We're ready to launch.
Yeah.
Matt and I have to go down to see the doctor in Miami and set up the study.
Yeah, that's true. And also the lion's mane, it's known to increase the BDNF, which is the goodies for our neurons. But unfortunately, when we eat it, it's not going to go into the brain. So then that's the problem. But with this exosome, that directly gets you into the brain, increase your, those goodies in the brain. So that makes it so much different.
Would you say
this is an area we're going to file patents on, so we have to be careful talking about it.
Would you say that's as beneficial as using like MCT oil?
Yeah, MCT oil. Yeah, actually, it's better, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh no, go ahead.
Yes? Oh, go ahead. What?
I wanted to just continue on the patent mode. That's what I wanted to talk about. If that's okay.
We'll talk for hours. Go ahead.
No, Dr. Hausman, Matt has mentioned new patent filings potentially resulting from the Penn State research. So how important is intellectual property to NexTel's long-term strategy?
Very important. I had mentioned it earlier. I called the mushroom manufacturer. So a mushroom is produced from spawn, like the sperm produces humans and ova. Mushrooms produce their own spawn, but there's a genetic background to the spawn. So I'm waiting for a phone call from from this one of the largest mushroom farms in Pennsylvania. It dates back to the Revolutionary War. I'm waiting to find out. I just had a call with them on Thursday last week to see what is the genetic background of the spawn that produced the lion's mane that has the highest level of this product that could stimulate BDNF, for example, in the brain. So once I get that data, we're going to file immediately patents and protect that.
Yeah, I got the new idea from there, but I wouldn't tell.
Don't tell anyone.
I was going to say he's not going to say anything. He's keeping it in the vault. He's saving it.
Another patent, another things. Yeah.
Eric, I think the important thing about investing in us and investing in our team, because I always say, as much as you're investing in a business, you're investing in people and a team, right? And I think that's always been important. I think the thing is you have two very brilliant gentlemen on this call here that are brilliant. And I think the one thing, and you're going to hear, you've heard them talk about many different things that we have access to or that we can do. But the one thing I want to promise the shareholders is we're very organized about how we're rolling this out with a plan. So everything we roll out is totally buttoned up, ready to be marketed, and there's a complete plan for distribution. And I think that's important because a lot of times you can hear all these different things, but there's no real organized plan of a rollout. It's just all over the map to try to make a dollar. I think we're going to be different. And I know we're going to be different because we're going to be very organized in some of the calls our teams had on this.
And to
That's
expand
important.
on that, Casey, you already have a whole marketing team put in place.
Correct.
So we don't have to go put that together.
And I did ask, I asked that during the spaces too. I know, and so I'm glad
I
that
didn't
you're
want to say
clarifying
anything
that.
then.
Yeah. And then one of the things I heard that Matt got asked on, I think it was Thursday's show, I may be mistaken, but I think that's right, was, having everything set up, boots on the ground already. We already have that. And as we grow and expand, yes, we're going to have to bring on more team members and stuff like that to cover the different offerings that Dr. Kimi and Dr. Marvin bring to the table. So the same guy that's servicing or same lady who's servicing clinic Y may not be a fit for hospital A. So we'll have to bring someone in that fits hospital A. That's how we're going to build this thing for long-term success.
Yeah, Eric,
Differentiation, I love it.
I don't want to lose track of something you said, the patent. Just think of a car. I said that these exosomes are cars. Remember that cars have doors. We can open the door on the exosome and put passengers in there. Think about that.
Yep.
So if we come across a formula, a NASA formula for muscle regeneration or wound healing, because remember, these astronauts go up in space and they get sick up there, and zero gravity is a problem.
So these cars are turning into like little Trojan horses.
Yes, absolutely. For targeted delivery of these key peptides, key amino acids, we should not look beyond this. And we file patents that are owned by the company in this area. We didn't forget about any of this. So by opening that car door and loading it in, we have filed a patent, and we took all key bioactive substances that are known to medicine, and they're in that patent, and how we load or open that car door and then close the car door. So that is what we have in simple terms in this company.
Yeah. Excellent. All right. I want to keep it going. And actually, because I did want to just one more thing. And then I got to hammer Matt on a bunch of questions, which I promised people I would do, whether he likes it or not. So I do want to talk a little bit. I was doing a little research on that. And, the FDA has repeatedly warned consumers about unapproved exosome products. And, some scientists argue that commercialization within the exosome industry has moved faster than clinical validation, which is something that you guys are already working on. Given those concerns, what do you believe regulators and critics are getting wrong about the science behind exosomes? You've talked about some of that already. And how is NexTel differentiating itself from companies that may have already contributed to that skepticism?
That's you, Jimmy.
Actually, they are not doing wrong. Some of the companies just skip everything. And then, I cannot believe why they can, give that kind of things, give the shit to the people. Even in Japan, I shouldn't use that word, right?
No, you're fine.
Right. So, but that's my feeling. That's my feeling, right? So then, even in Japan, some of the people, they kill the patient with giving such a wrong exosome. They say exosome may not be an exosome, and also they're making the exosome from the even the cancer cells, or they're putting the bovine serum, cow blood things, right? So then definitely that's wrong. That's why the authorities, they start to watching those things, and then that's necessary. But we're not gonna do anything like that. When we talk about the human cells, we're gonna use that, stem cells, mesenchymal stem cells from the, such a subject, right? And then we never ever use any animals' blood, resource at all. So then those are the total different. And then always we try to be scientifically proved. So that's the reason even we talk about the clinical trial and so on. And then from there, we're going to check those safety and other things too. So definitely they're doing, right things they're doing. And then we going to do the right things. That's my feeling is.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you for sharing that. And it's better to be correct and efficient rather than, supply a bunch of shit, essentially.
Right. For OTC products, you don't need to do an IRB study, but we're going to go ahead and do it just to get the data.
Well, I think it's important, and you guys are a step ahead, especially in regards to the network you're setting up, the innovation. Things are looking great for an OTCID company. You guys are ahead of a lot.
I have to go now, so we'll talk later.
You're bullshit. Just stay right there. All right. And I want to talk about the share price. I want to talk about the stock. Since the NexTel transition, shareholders have watched the share price continue to struggle despite multiple announcements involving patents, telehealth acquisitions, exosome commercialization, and Penn State research, which we were just talking about. why do you believe the market is still discounting MAJI so heavily? And you know what, this is just to piggyback on, you know, I know he mentioned this, unboxing bastard, with the share price getting hammered. Why should shareholders stick around? So why don't you just address that right now if you can, Matt?
All right. If as far as why shareholders should stick around, if you've been listening for the last hour, that's why. Okay. As far as the stock price goes, yes, we did bring in Reg A money. Yes, we did use an individual who I knew how they traded, and he traded like he would normally do. And his last batch, you know, hit the market, took it down, came back up. Somebody else got upset. But I think shareholders are going to see some changes coming here shortly. We'll be a lot more selective moving forward. We had some needs we had to address. There was just no way around it. We dealt with them. We do need capital to continue moving forward, so I'm not going to say we don't. But I think we could be a little bit more selective in how we do it, so it doesn't. And I'm probably dealing with a question that you might have regarding dilution, so I'm going to roll it all into one.
Yeah, that's why I put this up. Yep.
So although we will still be issuing Reg A shares, they're not going to be at the current price. That I'll say. And I think people will be happy that we're moving the price in a northern direction, that we're not going to keep issuing shares down here, that we'll be more selective in the players that we're going to bring in. And I think that will handle both the share price, and we're going to structure it a little different, so it's not a constant foot on the back of the neck of the stock, so the stock can absorb it in, breathe, come in again, absorb it in, breathe. And we don't have much more to go, but we do have some more to go. So like I said the other night, we had 29 million left. We're not going to put 29 million out.
Well, and even just looking at the share price and looking at the potential, this stock is a low float. The share structure is intact. There's no convertible debt. I think that's people's biggest concern. And, you know, there were a lot of pissed off people, you know, when you have this thing, you know, it runs up, it's, you know, in 20 plus cents, whatever. And now here we are. So, I mean, given the science, given the network, given the revenue creation, I think that eventually the share price is going to catch up with what you guys are doing. That's just my personal opinion. That's what I hope happens. So I just want to follow up with, you know, just specifically about dilution. You mentioned the 29 million. You mentioned it today. You mentioned it on Thursday. Okay. What about the Reg A offering? I'm just going to jump to the Reg A offering. Can you provide on the actual Reg A offering itself? Are they still actively selling the share, and how much remains available? You said 29 is still available. That's not what you're going to use.
29 is available to be sold today.
How much would you think how much would you like would be reasonable where Matt says, you know what, we out of that 29, we had 15, and based on the revenue we created and the network and the products and the everything getting up to speed, studies being done, products being distributed, 15 was worth it. I'm just using that as an example. What would be that number where you would be satisfied out of that 29?
I'd be happy if I only had to do 5, honestly. You know, the goal here is not to flood the market with equity right now, just to grab the cash and get us from A to B, which is B is when Casey's revenue starts showing on the books. That does us no good. Everyone on this call right now, or on the screen and listening right now, is affected every single time we do something. Even if we do like the restricted shares I put out the other day. Granted, they're not going to hit tomorrow. They're 2 years down the road or less when we become fully reporting. But when you give shares, whether it's for services or whether it's for money or for this or that, you have to know when you're handing it out, it's coming back. It says, when's it coming back? And if you can put it out in a way that when it does come back, the market can absorb it because it's just not a constant deluge of stock like happened that one day. I think it's treated a little bit differently. And I think and I don't expect anybody to believe anything right now. They're going to have to see it. And I think once they start seeing things go in a different direction, then they'll see that we really won't need the 29 million. We probably won't need 10 million. I don't even think we'll need 15. We're a very lean and mean company, and we just have a few things that we need to get done to be able to bring the test out, two, give Casey some product to sell.
Yeah. I want to keep it moving here. You mentioned before funding without dilution. You've stated the JumpstartRx and NueVistraMed acquisition will be non-dilutive and funded through Lemmy Holdings, ticker LMMY. Walk us through exactly how that's going to work.
I'll walk you through how much of it I can.
Okay.
So we own a block of stock in Lammy. When Lammy starts having its market going, which I anticipate will be shortly, then it will become an attractive stock, and we could, and we will, off-sell part of our holdings to somebody to cover the cost of not only Casey's acquisitions, but I believe this was in a tweet, not in a PR, but my entire goal is, at this point right now, we've put out 21 million so far of Reg A shares. All right. Let's just say we round it off to 30. Let's say between now and the day we're done, we issue another 9. So it's 30 million. Well, part of the leverage on that is going to pull that 30 back out of the market, because we said we were going to do that. We have the ability to do that. We don't need to wait for cash flow. We can do it from there. That's why we're holding it. So, and then once we get the market going there, if there's anything else we need to do to grow Casey's side of the business, to grow what Marvin's doing, Dr. Sugaya's going to need new toys in the lab. Marvin's going to need toys in the lab. They cost money. All right. But there's ways of going around doing that where we don't have to go through the pain we're going through now. So once we do that, we'll shut it down.
Got it. I want to talk about SEC reporting. You've announced plans to audit financials and become fully SEC reporting.
Yep.
Are you going through with it? And why is it so important to do that?
Well, yeah, I'm going through it. I mean, we would have done it a long time ago, but the problem we had with what we had to wait 2 years. So yes, we are going to audit 24 out of 25. We are going to audit the first 6 months of 26. That's why Casey's going through the pain he's going through. He's got to go do audits now. And he's engaged our auditor, and he's already going through that process. So his companies will come in audited. That way we'll be able to roll up together. So our goal is to have an S1 ready and plug numbers in, let's just say end of February, beginning of March, file it. March, April, May, probably should be by May, I'm thinking. The S1 to get approved. We're not registering any shares to sell. We're just registering the existing shares. There was no gap when the company ceased being trading before, so they're not going to come back to us for anything there. So we'll go through the standard comment process and go up. But it's not a company that will get bogged down because we're missing something or we're deficient. But the importance of getting it fully reporting is to have the ability to then, if we have to tap into capital markets, we can do it differently, which hopefully we won't. But more importantly, to get more liquidity for the company. You know as well as I do, when we get to a fully reporting status, there's a whole different level of shareholder that's going to come in. Mm-hmm. Being that we're in the biotech and the health and wellness industry, those sectors are doing nothing but growing right now. Think about that. I mean, think about the number of patients number of patients that he was talking about for one group for last month. And that's just one segment. I mean, it's huge. When you look at the annual growth, when you're looking at health and wellness and anti-aging, that all fits into the products of Marvin. And then I know Kimi's got things going on in his head right now that he'll share with us later on that will add to this. So our goal is to build this as big as we can get it and look to sell it to a private equity fund first quarter of 28.
Okay. Yeah. So the OTCQB uplist by quarter one, which you were talking about, especially with fully SEC reporting, that's crucial to get to that point.
Yeah.
Okay. And everything you just mentioned, because I was going to ask about what milestones need to be achieved between now and then to make that happen, but you just rattle off a bunch of them. And obviously on the operational, honestly, listening to you guys today on the operational side, I'm not concerned on the operational side. So I think, like Casey was mentioned, it seems like you guys have a very detailed plan. It seems like your communication is great. He has the network. You guys have the innovation. You have the science, and the science is being backed up by pens and studies. And you got your university. You got your Penn State thing going on there, which is huge. So I'm not worried about the operational side, guys. I think that's great. So I like hearing how you're talking now, Matt, in regards to how to limit dilution and how to basically get to OTCQB and make sure you get fully SEC reporting, which is absolutely huge for you guys.
Yeah,
and that's quarter one, 2027, like you said, right?
Right, but
okay.
We'll produce a audited for 25 and audit review for 26. We'll start that at the end of the month in January and July. So August, September. So somewhere by the end of September, early October, we should be able to produce audited 25 and then audit review. We'll repost those numbers up in OTC. And once we do that, then we can file to go QB listing at that time because we'll have audited numbers. We don't have to be reporting. We just need audited financials.
So QB should be by quarter two-ish.
No, QB should be Q4 of this year.
Okay. All right, great.
You can apply once you have audited financials.
Okay, got it.
And
all
you're
right.
over a penny.
I was thinking a quarter in the wrong direction. My bad. I just have a couple more questions. I know we're pushing an hour, and I don't want to lose anybody. Many MAJI shareholders, as I was saying before, have been underwater for a long time. They're frustrated. Some have lost faith. And I know you've taken a beating lately from them. So maybe people say rightfully so. What would you like to say directly to those shareholders right now?
I like to say that it's tough to explain where we are and what we have unless you have Dr. Sugaya, Dr. Marvin, and Casey put it together like we did tonight. Having it here and then not be able to say it is difficult, especially in the decisions I've had to make. Because as I said, 26 is our year. We built, we've designed, we're ready. We have to launch. Was it pricing ideal? No. Was it effective? To a degree, yes. Could it have been more effective? No doubt. But it was a situation we had. We dealt with it. We're here. Our next goal now is to ensure that nothing else gets issued in this level, move it up. And I think with the execution of Casey's team and feeding his team what we have, I think people will begin to see the revenue numbers, like I said, in Q4, not just from him, but from MAJI's products as well.
All right. There's a belief among some shareholders that OTC executives often overpromise. This is the truth. I see it all the time. They release exciting PR, and then they move the goalposts. But I'm bagged in a lot of these stocks where they just keep kicking the can. Their timelines don't line up. Why should investors believe NexTel will be different?
Well, I don't think we've actually had a timeline and we probably have had one that I can't recall right now. I know we had hoped to do the Reg A last year and began funding it at the 15-20 level, but unfortunately, due to events from other shareholders from the past, that prevented us. So yes, that did move our thing. But going from where we are today, our biggest holdback from actually delivering anything is just having the cash flow to be able to do it. So by utilizing the tool, the Reg A, to be able to do the IRB study for the screening test, do the IRB study for the products, that gives us the ability to then generate revenue within the company. Bringing Casey's company in brings us the ability to generate revenue for the company. People will watch Lammy. When they see Lammy starting to trade and they see volume starting to go there, then I think confidence will come in and say, oh shit, our equity does have value. If you notice, I said it the other day, I never talk about the Lammy shares at all. I don't talk about our Lammy holdings at all, because to me, it's not worth talking about right now, not because there's nothing of value there, but we've been letting it percolate while Marvin and Kimi work in the background there. When will Lammy get a website? Probably within the next 2 weeks.
Awesome.
Soon.
That was a cut and dry timeline for you right there.
Oh, we're already in the process. So
that's good. That's excellent. I want a last question for you, Matt. Looking ahead to the second half of 2026 and into 2027, what are the most important milestones you expect NexTel to have achieved?
All right, 26, closing Casey, launching the screening test, getting at least 2 of Marvin's products out in through his distribution network, delivering an audit and a QB upgrade. If we can get all that done, which we shouldn't, there shouldn't be anything hindering our ability to do that. That should be 26. 27, we should be looking at adding additional products into Casey's downline. We should be looking at our S1 getting effective and becoming a fully reporting entity. And then we should just be looking at expanding our ability to add products, not only with Casey, but in other outlets that we have. So Casey's scenario is a perfect launch for the screening test. And as it launches there, then that will give us the ability then to launch in other areas, because if you have a product and you only have 5,000 boxes on the shelf and it goes like wildfire, that's a bad situation, especially when you're a cancer screening test. People don't want to wait a month to get the test. They'll go on and they'll move on to somebody else. So we want to have the ability to have the availability to fulfill those orders when we get them. So that's our goals. That's what we're looking for, or at least what I'm looking to do for the company. The men who are driving it are right there. It's not me. I follow their direction and we go.
Wow. Yeah, this was a really meaty episode, and I am doing a stock update show in about 3 weeks. So I hope to have you guys all on again, just to, sort of give an update to where we're at. And don't ever hesitate if you ever see us doing spaces and X spaces. Casey, if you're ever listening in, feel free to always jump on and share your progress. I want to thank all you guys for taking the time. Thank you for the people that were watching, that were sharing our questions and comments. Great stuff. And so this is fun. This is a great time. And so Dr. Marvin Hausman, Dr. Sugaya, Casey, Matt, Dwyer, always great to have you guys. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, see you guys.
All right, see you
Good
then.
there.